I was VP of our bus business and a pretty successful corporate role and kind of breaking the ceiling because it was kind of a men's business, if you will, the boys club. Also kind of going through my own personal transition of kind of healing after a breakup and going through that journey of my own healing journey. And I knew that when I went into work, it wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. I wanted to do something more, but I didn't really know what that looked like. A trip to Bali for a self-love retreat presented itself. And I just knew, I'm like, if I do not click this button right now, if I do not go on this journey, my life will not be the same. And it was a life-changing journey. And I came back and I fell in love with the material. I fell in love with the transition on who I became as a result of it and who I continue to kind of grow into.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Meta Transitions. I am your host, Trisha K. Williams, and I'm here with Deborah Cherrey. Deborah is a mindset coach, a Reiki master, and an author. We're so excited to have Deborah with us today. Welcome to our show, Deborah.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. All right. So tell us a little bit more about who you are and tell us your transition story.
Sure. So I'm a mindset coach. So focusing on a lot of self-love is where my story really started and how I got into the coaching business. And then from there, the Reiki kind of transpired and writing a book was one of my goals. But in 2018, I guess, I was VP of our bus business and a pretty successful corporate role and kind of breaking the ceiling because it was kind of a men's business, if you will, the boys club. I was working there and my family decided to sell. And I was also kind of going through my own personal transition of kind of healing after a breakup and going through that journey of my own healing journey. Yeah. And I knew that when I went into work, it wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. And I had this feeling in the pit of my stomach that I wanted to do something more, but I didn't really know what that looked like. And I honestly, at the time, remember looking in the mirror and thinking, I don't even like the person I'm staring at anymore. I wasn't taking care of myself. I don't even know if I knew what self-love was at that time. Mm-hmm. And then the trip to Bali for a self-love retreat presented itself. And I just knew, I'm like, if I do not click this button right now, if I do not go on this journey, my life will not be the same. And I think I was probably headed down a pretty poor direction at the time. So it was a life-changing journey. And I came back and I quit my job. I finished my Reiki master and started working with my own spiritual and mindset coaches. And that's how I fell in love with the material. I fell in love with the transition on who I became as a result of it and who I continue to kind of grow into.
Wow. No, I'm listening to your story and I'm hearing that so much happened all at once.
Yeah, it was, right? It was quickly.
Yes, yes. And isn't it, how it goes generally? Like, one thing just happens right after the other and it's just so tumultuous. And it sounds like you really listened to what you needed in the moment, that taking time for yourself, being able to walk away from, the chaos and recenter yourself in Bali. And then coming back and figuring out, what it is that you need to step into as a way to, I guess, again, figure out what life should look like for you. And I guess I have some questions, maybe, about what were specific areas maybe within, that transition story, moving from, the job situation, then the relationship breaking up, and then now figuring out a new career path. Like, what were specific points in that story that where you knew that something was going to change?
I think when I went to Bali, it was all on self-love, self-healing. And I don't even know if at the time that I recognized where your results are on the outside are a reflection of how you feel on the inside. And I don't even know if I recognized that. And I do now because I know that if there's something going on in my life, I need to look at, okay, is this an opportunity for me to go inward? What do I need to do? So that was a huge change and transforming experience for me. I came back from there and I just remember people saying, oh my gosh, you're like, you're you're vibrating like this new energy, and you're shining, almost like you're shining a new light. And it was something, you know, I always thought I was a pretty bubbly, happy person, but really when I looked in the mirror, I wasn't that person. So actually being able to really commit to yourself in Bali, like we actually went through a whole almost death ceremony where you're willing to let go of all the things that weren't necessary in your life anymore, and helping you along your path, and really committing to some things that you commit to. And I think a lot of us are willing to commit to partners. We're willing to vow in our marriages on what we commit, but it's very rare for people to say, I married myself. I committed myself. I wrote these vows, and I want to step into this person who is honoring every part of them. So that was a huge transforming experience, looking into a mirror and reading the vows that you wrote for yourself. It was emotional. Like it's emotional to get married, but it's an emotional experience when you really commit to wanting to change and wanting to be the best version of yourself and wanting to impact others to do the same.
Okay, so I'm hearing that transformational moment in your life was when you were able to look in the mirror and truly love the person that was looking back at you. And you're saying that it took time and it took effort and it took, that process that you talked about letting go of, things that weren't serving you. And I know for sure that process is hard to do.
Oh
It's
my
so
gosh,
hard
there's
to
a
let
lot of
go.
tears shed. There's a lot of tears shed for sure. Absolutely. But when you start really aligning yourself with who you are at the core, in love, and honoring who you are and where you want to go, like you said, it almost starts to fall into place. Like things start to happen. Like the book started to happen when I decided I wanted to impact others and I wanted to write a book, and all the synchronistic events started happening. You met the right person at the right time who, led me down to the book journey, and, all the people and places fall into place when you're aligned with who you are at the core. It's not magical, but it's alignment for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So having done the work, being able to go through that process of letting go and, finding that inner strength and inner being who you are at your center gave you the opportunity to see, who you wanted to become and to align yourself with the right people so that you can have those positive networking abilities that could lead you to, be able to do all the things you wanted to do. And you got a book out of it. Tell us a little bit more about your book.
It's a collaborative effort. Sorry, She Rises for Tomorrow, and it is about women entrepreneurs who took the leap of faith to inspire the world and want to create change, and want to inspire women to step into their awesomeness, their greatness. I'm so passionate about it, especially going through my own experience. I think a lot of us at some points in our lives just thought, oh, this is it, right? Like I was, I don't know, 37, 38 years old, single mom of three. I had a great career, really no complaints. I have great friends, but I still had this feeling that there had to be something more. And I think we settle for complacency because we don't necessarily know how to get it. And I think a lot of people are stuck in that 9 to 5, go, 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 when it doesn't necessarily have to be that way.
Yeah, yeah. So that idea of, looking at the opposite in the sense, so when you're not connected to who you are and what it is that you are here to do, your meaning, sense of
Yeah.
purpose, then you just settle for whatever's there, and I know a lot of times the thing is when society tells you what you need to do or what it is that you're supposed to do, those shoulds, right? It can sometimes be hard. You're stuck in that relationship or you're stuck in that job, and it can be difficult to be in that place because sometimes people don't even realize that they're stuck until something happens, and
Right.
then they're like, The great resignation that's happening now in COVID times. So
Absolutely.
many people are leaving their jobs right now because they were faced with a situation that made them do the work that you're talking about, that self-reflection, that, is this what I'm here to do? And a lot of people have decided, no, this is not what I'm here to do. I'm here for something bigger. So yeah. All right. I'm wondering, is there anything else you wanted to share about your journey before I ask you about tips that you could share with others?
Um, I think, like I said before, and I seem to really, this has been my message of lately, and I think it all comes back to, I guess, self-love, like love yourself and set the standards for yourself, because when you start setting the standards for yourself, that's what you attract into your life. So if you're looking for love, you have to love yourself. You can't find it outside of yourself. And your results will always kind of dictate how, or the opportunities for healing that you have. Um, but for anybody kind of on the journey, honor where you're at, accept where you're at, and say, okay, this isn't necessarily where I want to be. I think we are so self-deprecating sometimes, thinking, oh, she's doing this, or I'm seeing this, or I want to do this, but maybe I'm too old, or maybe time's running out. It's never too late. It's never too
Mhm.
late to start on a journey of self-love. It's never too late to go after your goals, because once you start setting the right types of goals and those big goals, and you can visualize and be in that energy of it, that's when things start to happen, and it can happen so quickly. So I
Mhm.
think just honoring where you're at, and enjoying the journey of discovery, because it's not a destination, because once you get this, you're going to want to go here, you're going to want more, and it's okay to want more. That's who we
Yes.
are as humans. It's okay to want a bigger picture, it's okay to want more money, it's okay to want a bigger house. I think a lot of us have these limiting beliefs that, oh well, that's too flashy. If you want it, it's yours. If you really believe that you can show up in the world and in service, and doing what you love to do and aligned with your purpose, you can have, be, or do anything that you want.
So having that belief, and confidence in yourself that you can achieve, the things that you dream in a sense. And I think I like the way that you started it off, allow yourself to dream at least, and then take the steps you need to take to get to that dream. I do want to note that there are times that people do dream and want to get to different places, but then, you have those obstacles that are in your way that make it challenging, right, to get to those dreams. And I'm wondering what would you say to those people who have roadblocks, like legitimate roadblocks?
Um, what what kind of roadblocks? What kind of roadblocks are we talking about?
Yeah,
There's
like,
fear, because there's
mhm.
always going to be fear or self-doubt. Anytime that you go after something big that you've never accomplished before, you're going to run into fear. And, there's that old saying that everything that you want is on the other side of fear. And it's so true. It's like you're uncomfortable, you want to go somewhere, and you hit the fear, and you just want to go back to your comfort zone. But if you just push on a little further, you'll get to the freedom, and that'll be a new, I guess, a new normal. That'll create a new normal, and then you're going to want to go after something different or bigger, because you've already accomplished that, you've already done it.
Yes, no, I love that you talked about fear and doubt because, yes, those are legitimate roadblocks that people, tend to, brush up against. And, even if those roadblocks are in the form of people, right? I think it's still fear and doubt that comes out of that, because there's always ways that you can maneuver around people. If there are physical obstacles too. And it's being able to figure out, okay, how am I going to do that? And if you're able to push past fear and doubt, then it gives you the opportunity to problem solve that. So, yeah.
And you don't necessarily need to share your vision or your goal with other people, but you want to align yourself with people who are successful, or are like-minded, I guess, if you will, are shooting for bigger things. And you'll notice that as you align yourself with your goals and around people that support you
Mhm.
in wanting bigger things, some people do fall away, and that's that's uncomfortable, because as you grow and change, your energy field changes and you attract different people into your life. So it's uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable, but that's where the journey is. That's where the growth is. That's where the lessons are. And that person who says, oh, you can't do that, well, that's nice that they think that, but you know differently. So really focusing, it's not like self-love and confidence and all that stuff is not just like, oh, I'm confident today. It's a process. It's a daily reminder to yourself. You have to love yourself daily. And so it's setting a ritual, it's setting a routine. What does that look like for you? Gratitude. I always start with gratitude, affirmations, reciting my goal, looking in the mirror, telling myself I love me, seeing myself as my goal achieved, and being that confident person, and reminding myself when I'm in a fearful moment, am I thinking of myself or am I thinking of the people that I want to help? And usually it's a selfish motivation when you're in fear, versus if you're out there for your clients and for all the people that you want to impact, you'll push through that and do those uncomfortable things that you don't want to do.
Yes, yes, well said. It's, where does your passion lie? Where does your sense of meaning lie? Is it selfish reasons, or is it to better society, to better the lives of other people? So identifying what your sense of purpose is, and identify, where is this fear lying? Is it because of something that I'm doing or how I'm feeling about it, or is this about other people? And that, it sounds like that will help you to determine what your next steps are, and how you're going to navigate that. I really appreciate you sharing, with us, and talking to us about this idea of pushing past fear and doubt so that you can achieve the things that you want to achieve. I really appreciate you sharing with us today.
Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed being here.
Yes, definitely. All right. So maybe what I'll ask here is, how can people contact you?
Through my website is www.deborahcherrey.com, or I'm on Instagram at deborah.cherrey, and I'm on Facebook as well as deborah.cherrey.
Okay, perfect. So we are going to put Deborah's contact details in the description box below. We're also going to link to the book, She Rises. She Rises, is that correct?
She Rises for Tomorrow. Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. She Rises for Tomorrow. So go get the book, and also if you need some help, Reiki, or, you need some life coaching or anything like that, mindset coaching, please go contact Deborah. All right. Well, thank you for being with us, Deborah. Until next time, take care.
Thank you.